Okay, we're going to talk about how to get rich.
Yeah.
You guys know anything about that?
We never talk about
Does anyone know anything about this? I don't know anything about this.
Don't.
Okay.
Let's start high and then go low.
Okay. We'll go high.
Was this Armand's thing?
How do you
I
get
think
rich,
this was just
guys?
like a general topic. Like,
Well, it started with the book.
It was a book. We're going to talk about a book.
oh, you're right.
I am currently reading a book so I opened Twitter for the first time in a while.
And you scrolled
And
through some
I saw
white
some bad
supremacist
stuff.
shit, a couple guys dying. And
Yeah.
then-
And I was like, oh, Steven was right. It's bad. And I had to like mute some things. And then I see this, I follow I have this great follow. I wish I could tell you. I don't know the name off the top of my head, but it's a great follow. He talks about tech a lot and very interesting things, AI, but it was like a, thread on getting rich and like, what are the best resources and books? And a lot of people liked this comment about the book, How to Get Rich by Felix Dennis. And I was like, never heard of that. I've read all the books on, like all the famous ones, right? I was like, okay, that's under the radar. It seems like a deep cut. I'll look it up. Felix is the founder of Maxim and a bunch of different magazines, computer, PC, tech magazines.
Maxim.
Like was a mogul.
Forgot about Maxim.
Maxim was like a staple.
God,
yeah,
that-
a staple in
That
the
was a shit when I was like 17.
a young man's life.
Oh, yeah. Boobs and cars.
yeah,
I mean, honestly, good
fully
for him,
clothed
right?
boobs though.
Good for him. Like
Tasteful boobs.
picked his, yeah.
Yes, Maxim was very tasteful.
Yeah, it was like a couple degrees before you get to like Playboy, right? It was just enough. And the book is I'm maybe I'm more like a third of the way through, so I can't speak on the full book, but the book is really well done. Like
Great book.
Instantly
It's hilarious, too. It's funny.
hilarious.
Yeah, it's very
'Cause
entertaining.
He's a poet.
Yeah.
And so like his whole thing, he goes through so many different things, right? If you guys have read it, you can speak to it more, but I already understand the promise of the book, at least in terms of what he's presented up front. But it's amazing because he's kind of going through like what really is rich, how much is really rich. And he has all these frameworks for defining that in terms of your liquidity, in terms of your net worth, and how you can actually utilize your assets and like
People
the
don't do that very
trade-offs
often.
and
People like speak to wealth esoterically. All
yeah,
the time.
and he's like, what really matters is like, and he talks about how like many of the richest people in the world couldn't pull on $50 million if they needed to, and they might be worth 500 million, $1 billion. Like they don't really have the money; they'll borrow, blah blah blah. Then he goes into like how to do it and what vehicle to choose to get rich, and then what do you do once you are? Like, do you just play the game forever? And that was the most interesting part of the book so far, is like how he eventually decided to live his rich life and to stop just playing the game of operating the businesses, becoming the owner, getting out of the way, and so on. And then, of course, goes into how to get capital and how to find the right investors and attract the capital, and should you attract capital, and so many things. But really well done because he's this absolutely hilarious guy. And the person narrating the audiobook is like, this
It's like a British accent, right?
British
Yeah.
accent, kind of pompous, poetic, like really old school vibe. And it's just entertaining.
Did you get to the part where he's talking about, okay, if you're an entrepreneur, never give up your equity?
Yes.
He's big on it, and it kind of blew
Yes.
my mind. He was like, don't give up a single % of equity. You own the whole thing. And I mean, it's really hard to do that.
Yeah.
'Cause-
I don't remember him saying don't give up any. I do remember him saying maintain as much as possible.
Okay.
To create real wealth.
Okay.
And he really goes at people and says, like, look, if you want to be rich, you got to be an owner. Like, there's no other way.
Yeah.
And he really goes hard on this idea of like, statistically, like breaking down the chances of becoming super rich and how unlikely
He's talking
it is.
hundreds of millions of dollars, right?
Yeah. Like for him, super rich is very rich is like 50 million plus, super rich is like the 100 million plus. And he's like, really, to get to these levels, you're talking about a level of sacrifice, a level of dedication, and a level of like never giving up that most people don't even bother doing. So he says, yes, while statistically it's a huge lottery to become that person, it's very unlikely that you become that person. But the reason that it's possible is because you picked up this book and you want it. And if you're actually willing to pursue it to that degree and play the game, he's like, there's not that many people actually going for it. And if you really view the competitive landscape accurately, everyone who's against you is the people that are just going to be jealous because they don't even want to bother playing the game. And so you're really playing against those people to not sabotage you, but the direct competitors are the ones that are actually trying to play the game.
Do you think that
and beat
still
you.
holds true? Because he wrote that book. I remember reading this
It's old.
when we were in college. So like that was even more true 20 years ago.
Mhm.
I think
And
the Shark Tank kind of phenomenon turned everybody into like
That's
ownership
true.
mentality.
That's true. Yeah. There's been a huge boom in entrepreneurship.
I feel like the game is overrated. Like, do you maybe I'm off base here, but I've never wanted to play that game because I've always viewed the game as like kind of negative EV. It's just like a giant survivorship bias. Like your odds of actually getting that rich, I think, are probably extraordinarily low.
Is that true? Because I think you want to be very rich.
Um,
So then what game are you playing? What would you call the game you're playing?
What are you doing?
I'm clearly not trying to be that rich. No, I've never been like, oh, I'm going to try to get like if I was trying to be worth like $1 billion, I would not be playing pickleball like 25 hours a week. You know, There's a lot of things I wouldn't do. And I don't do that because it just seems dumb to me. There's just like a giant survivorship bias. Like you only see the people who made it. You only hear the stories about the people who made it. I don't know, like the number, like if I could see the stats on the number of people who are like, I'm going to try to be worth $100 million and then see like how many of them actually made it, that would be like very interesting. Actually.
Okay, I get you, and I think I 98% of the time agree with you, but I think there is something to the fact what Armand was saying, maybe what Felix Dennis is saying, that not that many people are taking those kind of swings, and you get asymmetric returns. So, like if you look at the 10 out of 10 girl at the bar, and you look around, there's no guy going up and talk to her. She's just
Out of reach.
too hot, too intimidating, too out of reach, just not even going to try. And so, you actually have better odds going and talking to that one.
I'm so glad you brought this example up because like whenever somebody says this, I'm just like, no, fuckface. Everybody doesn't talk to that girl because they're going to get fucking rejected by her. Which is true.
Okay.
Which is true. Which is also true.
Narrative that like, oh yeah, if you just go up to talk to that super hot girl, nobody else is doing it, so you'll succeed. Wrong.
You could potentially be friend zoned
She's
for
too hot
years.
for you.
She's way too hot for you.
But Jeff Bezos has something that says like, you kind of swing for home runs, and in baseball you can only get 4 runs max, right? You can get a grand slam. But in business, when you swing for home runs, you can get 1,000 runs, 10,000 runs, 1 million runs in one swing. So maybe there is something to like, there's not that many people taking them. In the outsized, asymmetric rewards, kind of all balances out to making it worth it. Now, when we get into like, what do we all think the best way to get rich is, it's like, my advice is going to be the exact opposite.